Welcome to the Coach's Corner podcast. My name's Anna.
My name's Caitlin.
Today we have Coach OJ, head football coach at Augustana. Since 2013, you've led the Vikings to multiple NSIC championships and appeared in multiple NCAA playoffs. You've built a winning culture on and off the field. We are so excited to have you here. Thanks for taking the time.
I appreciate spending time with you, ladies.
All right, so I saw that you've coached for Green Bay Bombers, Cal Lutheran, Minnesota State. So can you kind of just give us a walkthrough of your career and how you ended up at Augie?
Yeah, I actually played at UW-Stevens Point.
Okay.
And then became a student assistant my last year, which led to a graduate assistant opportunity at MSU Mankato, and then I got hired full-time there when it was done. Yeah, and then it just kind of dominoes in coaching how it went.
Yeah.
Blessed enough to move out to California. Got married to my wife first, and then 2 days later we moved out to California. And out there with a buddy of mine for a year. Came back, did the Bombers.
Nice.
Went back to my undergrad at Stevens Point, was the assistant head coach, and then got the St. Olaf head job, and then to Augie.
Where's your wife from?
She's from Mankato, Minnesota.
Okay.
Dad was the head baseball coach there, so that was a tough recruit for me to land as a wife.
Yeah. Yes. How would you describe your coaching philosophy? And then for us who want to be coaches, how can we start to form a coaching philosophy?
Yeah, I think it's got to be personal.
Mm-hmm.
Your experiences obviously lead to who you are. The best way I could talk about my coaching philosophy is I want to be player-led.
Yeah.
I want buy-in. I want them to be fully informed of what we're doing there in everything we do. And I truly believe that coaches have an opportunity to be transformational. Not transactional, that you can invest in kids' lives.
Yes.
Let's be honest. Everybody wants to be a star. Everybody wants to be the best. Everybody wants to start. It's just not a reality.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you meet your needs as an athlete when that's not the case, and yet still bring your best effort every day? And I think that's where the transformational approach comes in, where guys see their self-worth and their identity is not football. It's what we do. It's not who we are. And that gets lost sometime in athletes where this is all I am and everything. No, you're going to be a pro in something else. Even our guys that have shots at making it to the NFL, someday they're going to tap you on the shoulder and say, no more football. And you got to have a plan for life, for your future family, for your career, and then go after your goals and aspirations. So when I say player-led, I want feedback, and I want them to be able to handle truths. That means I got to be able to handle them too. They have an opinion and I want to hear it. And they know, our guys know that I'll always shoot it straight with them and I have their best interest in mind, even when that doesn't align with what they think or see in that moment.
Yeah, so being honest with them. Yeah, being honest with yourself. That's great. That's great. Then going off of that, what's something that you felt like you failed at as a coach, looking back? And what did you do to overcome this and come back and use that experience to better yourself?
I think early in my career, I wasn't confident enough. I thought everybody knew more than I did. And I was raised in a work ethic kind of family. My mom worked midnight shift at a hospital. My dad worked in a paper mill his entire life. And you just work for what you want, pleased with what you get was my mentality. But as I grew in coaching, I started to realize I'm okay at what I do. And I can be all right with that.
Yeah.
But then I always want to be better. And I think when I was younger, I overestimated what I thought of some people or of the job. And the longer I've been in it and then became a head coach, I learned a lot more what I didn't want to do than what I did want to do in some scenarios. And that helped me form my philosophy too. And
Totally.
I think the older me now, more mature me, let's just go with that word, sees that everything is possible, and all we can be is our personal best, and then you got to be okay with that.
I love that. That's good. Caitlin has a few questions too.
And then a big part of any college program is recruiting. Do you have any advice for high school football players / athletes on reaching that collegiate level of play?
Yeah. Number one, show up your personal best every day. When I go into schools, and I still do this to this day, I walk in and I'll ask a custodian in the hallway, I'll ask the desk staff, I'll ask a random teacher, hey, do you know so-and-so? And their feedback matters to me. I don't ask students as much anymore because they might have an issue with somebody at some point. If you're who I want, the school should probably know who you are and speak positively of you when you're there. What I would tell young men is be the guy that you would want to coach. And it's hard for a 16, 17-year-old young man to understand that, but an 18-year-old should have a pretty good identity. Would you hire yourself? If not, what are your gaps? And then work on those. Put your good film together, get it out to everybody you're interested in, and then go see who you're interested in. Get in the car, get in the plane, go see who you're interested in, because too many coaches tell you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear to make decisions. And that's not me, but there's plenty of them out there. And especially with the transfer portal and NIL situation where it is, I think high school kids got to invest time, not just who wants me, but who do I want, and that relationship's got to be reciprocal.
Do you encourage the high school athletes to reach out to all of your coaches, just you, like assistants, stuff like that?
That's a great question. We have regional recruiters, so everybody has a spot in the country that we recruit. And then it goes to the position coach. So I tell high school players, build a relationship with first-year regional coach who's talking to you, then the position coach. Most of us head coaches have so much on our plate. You know, like we start with 3,000 recruits to land with less than 30. It's impossible for me to be on the front end of 3,000 relationships. I'm more on the back end of those top 60 that really I want to know who they are, what makes them tick, tell me about your family. And I think another good point of advice for recruitable kids is be prepared to tell your story. You know, guys like me, I want to hear your story. What have you struggled in? Oh, nothing. I've been great. Well, then you're not truthful.
It's going to be a hard transition then.
Yeah, right? Because you're going to struggle here in class. And everybody's the big fish in a little pond. Just you're going to get thrown in a lake where they all swim fast and bite. You know, I mean, that's just the reality of competition. I like passion kids, and I like turning on a film and seeing that they're passionate about the game, because when you're going against everybody's all state, all district, all this, what separates guys generally is their passion to play at the next level. So I think that's a big thing.
All right.
Okay, then you've had so many victories in the course of your career. Can you pinpoint one memory that solidified your love of this job?
Oh, man. That's a great question. I've had some real mountaintop moments, and I've been incredibly blessed. God has been so good to me, my family, and our program. It's hard to say one. I have like a top five. C.J. Ham scoring the game winner against USF, and that'll always be a memory for me because he fumbled earlier and he just was so distraught about it. And I said, you're going to win this game later on, so get your head on right and let's go do that. And then he ended up doing it, and he was balling after the game, and now he's balling for 11 years in the NFL as a captain. But that was a really great one. And then to finally get a home playoff game and win it was really special a couple of years ago. The conference championships are great. The travel to tournaments are great. But to be honest with you, watching my guys get degrees and reach back to me and say, Coach, we're pregnant. Coach, I got this job. Those are just as important as some of the wins we've had in my life.
And then the last one that I have is at Augustana, you've built a culture centered heavily around faith and brotherhood. What would you say to a coach about cultivating a culture that fits you?
I only know me. I tell our guys all the time, I'm the only me I know, and you're going to get me 24/7, 365. And I can't live my faith life out at my home or just in the community or just my home and not bring it to work. So wherever anybody's at in that journey, I say the same thing to them all the time. The trough is full. Come and drink as much as you want when you're ready. It's got to be personal. It's got to be yours. Nobody can tell you to do it. Nobody can show you how to do it. But I've seen transformational things happen in kids' lives that are changed forever. Jared Epperson, prime example, how he has grown, and Peyton Buckley was the reason for it. Took him to church one Sunday, and Jared became a different person. And I could go over and over and over with people that I've just seen them change as a human being, and then all of a sudden the little things don't seem so big. The failures, they pass quickly. The successes are a humble moment, not a look what I did. So it's the only me I know, like I said, but I can't imagine life when bad things happen. Bad things happen. It's the reality of it. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have my faith as a core to sit and say, the sun's going to come up tomorrow, both of them. and I'm going to honor them both. And I hope every morning I get up, Satan says, "Oh crap, he's up again," because I'm going to get in a fist fight. So
yes,
I think some players gravitate to that. Others, it may take a little more time, but like I said, it's got to be their time.
Last thing is, like, so you wanted that to be part of your culture. Like, if we say we became coaches and we had this one thing we wanted to instill in the program, culture-wise, what are some steps that you took to, like, instill culture that you have here at Augie now and your players?
Yeah, that's a good question, too. I think you got to first assess what you've walked into.
Yeah.
I've been at 5 different schools. You got to understand the landscape of where you're at. You got to understand, what are the limitations provided to you, and you got to know where your lane is.
Yeah.
As a head coach, I have a lot more say than I used to as a position coach.
Yeah.
And I knew how I wanted my program to run. So when we say faith, family, football, that's the order I want my guys to live life. And that doesn't mean everybody is there.
Yeah.
But I have to show up as the genuine me every day, or how can I expect them to do the same?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be Jekyll and Hyde. One day I'm all fire and brimstone. The next day I'm some lethargic dump.
Yeah.
That stands there. You guys see me enough on campus. I can't live that way. I want to attack every day for every day the Lord's going to bless me with. And I think as a coach, when you go in, you assess, you have your standards, right? What's important to you, what makes you tick, because that's why you're going to be successful. And then the last part is, I think you have to be flexible enough to understand that I'm still changing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 57 years old and I'm still growing. I hope I grow till the day I die.
Yeah.
Kids teach me.
Mm-hmm.
They say, "Oh, these kids are this, these kids are that." No, these young men are great young men.
Yeah.
They're great young men. And
I know, that's what I love about it, too.
The world for the better.
Even the young kids I have, like the 8-year-olds, like you still can learn lessons from them, I feel
No doubt. And then be the authentic you so that they know who you are when you show up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no coaching saying, and I would advise anybody going into coaching to aspire to this. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
They'll buy in.
You gotta write that down.
I'm in, but I can't want it more than you. You got to meet me there, right? Okay. And I want it pretty bad. So when guys get there, if they have a bad day, what have you, like we have a practice or a thing that we do in our daily grind. When they come out to practice, they punch in at the goalpost. They literally do a physical touch of the goalpost. Okay. As a reminder that the rest of your life stops for 2 hours. Your chemistry, your girlfriend, your relationships, your family, that goes on hold for 2 hours when you commit to the greater good of the other 120, right? And then when we leave the football field, punch out. Go be all those other things that you need to fill your bucket so that the next day you can come revitalized and ready to go. And that's something that physical reminder is kind of funny to watch the freshmen kind of forget and have to run back and do it. But the upperclassmen, they literally will go out for a walkthrough. It's not even a practice day, and they're hitting the goalpost.
Yeah,
a couple of them did it
second
at graduation.
Nature. Aww.
They walked out in their stoles for graduation.
That's so
they're
sweet.
Hitting the goalpost, and I'm like, yeah, it's a good
That's
mental reminder that I'm giving of myself to the greater good of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole be the rock philosophy, is and I think this is a good thing for young coaches too. We are all responsible to hold one another accountable to the standard that we set.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
For ourselves and for everybody that goes through that program in the future, because eyes are always on you, man. You guys are in the microscope. There's always eyes on us. What you say, how you act is always going to be judged, and we're in a zero-sum game. There's no ties in my game. You either won or you lost, and you either improved or you got worse. I want to take every loss as an opportunity for improvement. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Well, awesome. That was great advice and great advice for our listeners and us too.
Yeah. Awesome.
So thank you so much.
Guys.